Today, a nerd teaches us about hip-hop, we find out how great cleavage can make you a YouTube star, and we get higher than we've ever been with a trip to outer space.
Vice Today. Bi-weekly, bite-sized doses of sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Welcome to another edition of Vice Today. I'm OJ, filling in for Ryan Duffy, who's either sick or has been kidnapped by the Legion of Doom. On this episode, we meet another one of our weird and wonderful friends from the internet, the Reply Girl, in the third installment of My Life Online. Then, we find out about the future of interior design in outer space with our premiere episode of Spaced Out. But first, we check in with our favorite office houseplant, Hanson O'Haver, for another installment of What's Up with Drake.
Hey, I'm Hanson O'Haver. So Drake did a couple of interviews recently where he talked about some hot button issues. In one, he talked about his substance use, which is basically that he smokes pot occasionally, drinks a little bit of wine, and occasionally sips lean. And then in another interview, he talked about how he's single, but he's definitely looking for the one. I think that when you compare these statements to, like, for example, the recent GQ Rick Ross interview, which was like 6 pages of just Mercedes and strippers and just like sex rooms and food and so much weed, it sort of gets at a larger point about Drake's relatability. I think that the most interesting part of Take Care is probably when the heartfelt voicemail from his grandma segs into the beat from Back That Ass Up. But a close runner-up, I think, is when he says, I've had sex 4 times this week, I'll explain. Because even assuming that he's talking about 4 different people, it's not that much sex. I mean, Drake's a very famous guy, and presumably millions of women want to have sex with him, whereas I feel confident that there's probably someone in this office that has had sex with 4 people this week.
You know what? He's not a houseplant. He's actually affirmed. Next up, we traveled to Montreal, where we met with Alejandra Gatan, who makes her living on the footnotes of YouTube. This is My Life Online.
So hi everyone, I just saw this video of a dog
at a vet's office
giving the person behind the register a receipt.
It's just really cute.
So anyways, yeah.
There's a trend happening on YouTube right now, which is basically just a bunch of fat titty girls making stupid ass reply videos to everything that comes out.
They're flipping everywhere. Even on this video, because it's about reply girls, there will be about 5 down here to the left of me. You look down in the related videos, there'll probably be some reply girls there.
They do shitty videos, they're completely terrible.
Just these girls yapping nonsense for long enough to fit an ad in so they can make money.
People take hours and hours and hours to produce a quality video and original content, and they just pretty much watch it, reply, and they get 100 times what I would get in views, and like this.
The end result is almost painful to watch.
Oh, hey guys.
Oh, it made me so hot.
Aber mein Führer, die 12. Armee marschiert nach Westen Richtung Elbe. Wenk! Soll mit der 12. Armee die Sache unterstützen.
Peace and love, guys. See ya. Thank you very much for watching. Bye. Now, in case you don't know me, I am the Reply Girl. Probably one of YouTube's most hated personalities right now. No bollocks! Aquí, ven. When I started YouTubing, I was below the poverty line, and I really needed a way to get out of that situation. Hi guys! My first month, I made enough to pay a cell phone bill. And I worked so much. Well, it's very simple. You go on YouTube and you look for the videos that are trending. I like those that are like random and funny.
Good morning, Señor Luchador. I brought you breakfast with lots of bacon.
Alejandra, well, to be honest, she is my girlfriend's sister, and we could say that she's my YouTube mentor.
Hey guys,
Reply girl, I need some advice. Haters are trying to get at me, and you know what? I gotta go break their necks one by one.
So what happened was that she shows me her check, and it was a nice check. For what she does, it was a very beautiful check.
I always wanted to be an autonomous worker or have a company or, you know, make money on my own, be my own boss. And I just never knew what exactly I wanted to do to make it happen. I just knew I want it to happen. I studied programming, but it didn't work out very well because I'm not a very good programmer. And yeah, I also did some babysitting, but that's about it.
So I tried doing replies myself, and believe it or not, it's a harder job than you think it is. It's long, it's boring, tedious, it's annoying. I mean, it's not a fun job. And the haters, people out there who are hating on reply people, and like, oh, you know, what do you do is brainless. And you know what? Do it yourself. If you don't like it, don't do it and don't watch it. Simple as that. There's times that these haters, they're posting, you know, videos and threads about finding her address, her IP address, and knowing where she lives. I've seen posts on YouTube, people actually posting an address, they thought that they found her address, and they post it everywhere. What kind of a bad person are you to take a hated person's address and post it to the public? So some crazy person comes over and, you know, sees the address and does something that they're gonna regret later on, you know? Oh, Jesus. If only they knew. I'm waiting.
Geez, that was really sad, but I was kind of distracted by something else. And finally, we check in with those crazy, underfunded nerds at NASA to find out what their interior designers have in store for us once Earth has become a barren wasteland. This is the series premiere of Spaced Out.
Three-dimensional design for me was always kind of the greatest form of creation. Being able to take an idea from that very tiny amount of energy, being this idea in your head, and then formulating that into a fully functional three-dimensional product. Take that a step further, I always kind of wanted to design the ultimate three-dimensional object, right? And so designing space vehicles, to me, was like that ultimate form of creation. It's like, what's the most badass thing you could design would be a spaceship. And NASA really was kind of the final frontier for me. My name's Evan Twyford, and I'm a habitability designer at NASA's Johnson Space Center. We, in our group, do conceptual design for NASA's human spaceflight. A lot of these projects are coming down as major kind of campaign-level design projects where they're saying, hey, we're doing a mission to the moon, we're working on a pressurized rover. We've got this idea and we want you guys to help us make it happen. You know, starting off with sketching and rendering, very conceptual, take it to a full-scale mock-up phase out of wood, foam core, low-fidelity materials. We use those to kind of sketch out the volume of how big the vehicle might be and how it would feel on the inside. Part of what we'll do when we're designing a habitat is we'll look at how the corners, how the edges are treated, what type of paint schemes are going to go inside. There was actually an issue with one of the colors that they had painted on the International Space Station, where one of the hatches was like a salmon color, and the crew really disliked it, so we try to avoid salmon now. And then working out the details in a CAD system on the computer and developing a fully functional prototype. And the type of design at NASA that we do is kind of crosses the line between fine art and engineering. So it's a lot more problem solving though, which is what makes it really exciting. So this is the SEV, the Space Exploration Vehicle on the chassis, Gen 1B. For interior design for space vehicles, there's certainly the problem of confinement, which is a psychological issue for crew members over time. So we have to deal with ways of designing environments and designing products that will reduce the effects of feelings of confinement in space. Yeah, so this is the interior of the SEV rover, Gen 1B. and most of the interior design elements was a product of our team as well as the robotics team that we've been working with on this vehicle for some time. So, you know, we've kind of been charged with making the interior of the vehicle more comfortable and more luxurious, if you can call it that. Seeing as most of us haven't actually been to outer space, it can make things very difficult sometimes because everybody has a different opinion or different assumptions that they're making about what that experience is like. It's a very testing and evaluation intensive work environment, so you know, we have to do whatever we can to ensure that these products will work in their intended environment. So sometimes that means flying products or mock-ups on a zero-gravity flight in the parabolic aircraft. Sometimes it means going out into the desert and testing them in a very harsh, kind of desolate environment that might be similar to what we would encounter in space. There's always that thing with designers between, you know, are you going to be like a stylist or are you going to be a problem solver? And you can look at a product and say, this accomplishes exactly what we need it to accomplish, and that's what makes it beautiful and that's what makes it successful. It's a very pure design problem that we're dealing with, which is, you know, to create products and environments that the crew will find useful and will make them successful and productive in their daily routines.
Go for main engine start. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All three engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff, the final liftoff of Atlantis.
The shuttle program and the International Space Station were started in the 80s as sort of a longer-term analog for human spaceflight and establishing a permanent human presence in space. To start to learn more about how humans would behave and you know, interact in longer-term space flight scenarios. I've kind of felt like a lot of people in general are maybe not as excited by the International Space Station or by the shuttle program, or at least not as much as they were maybe in the 80s when the shuttle was brand new, you know? I just hope that we can really re-engage people in the right way and get people excited about spaceflight, because this next generation of space vehicles is going to be the most badass that we've ever seen.
Hope you enjoyed another episode of Vice Today. Check back every Monday and Thursday for new episodes. And as always, if you like what you saw, please subscribe.